All right, so that was Côte d'Ivoire taking on Senegal in that last round of 16 encounter. Eventually, the Ivorians won 5-4 penalties. There was pandemonium in Abidjan. And there's a part I regret because I should have been there to enjoy the...
Why am I still in Ghana?
Look at this, to enjoy the
Why am I
pandemonium.
still here?
Because I've experienced football in a francophone country. Look, this is not... I experienced the 2008 Champions League final in Benin.
Yeah.
This is between Man United and Chelsea. You should have seen the madness in Côte. Just imagine the madness in Abidjan. Côte d'Ivoire has won a game.
It's crazy. Even before games, what happened in the country? I mean, before their game, we were in a mall, and I mean, they had set up this huge screen. People were having fun just before the game against Nigeria, and you could see the ecstasy, the sheer joy. Before the game. This is before the game.
Before the game. I see. Maybe when the tournament ends, maybe what I need to do is maybe put together a panel of everybody who went there and get different perspectives. And I think as a country, we need to think about creating the atmosphere, right? By two things. So one, aspiring to host such competitions. It speaks a lot to our own infrastructure drive, culture of maintenance, and all of that, and then how we can whip up a certain atmosphere. But that's a conversation for later. Yeah. Edmond, let me start off with you. The Ivorians have been giving, some people call it a third chance. So Morocco gave them a first chance. They took that chance against Senegal. They are alive in the competition. What have you made of their journey up until this point? Côte d'Ivoire, host nation, almost going out, but they are here, last 8.
Well, for me, they've been one of the most inconsistent sides at this tournament. How do you go from beating a Guinea-Bissau opening game? The atmosphere is right. Oh, people are chilling. And you go and beat. No problem. Now you come and mess up the Nigeria one. They give you that laxity that, okay, you met a big boy. You go and do what you did against Equatorial Guinea. For me, they've been given, like you said, a third chance. People hardly even get 2 chances in life, and you've been given a third chance. They need to start pulling things together in their team. I need to hand it to them. Their last game against Senegal was actually one of the best I've seen them in the tournament. Let's cancel out the first game where they beat someone 2-0. No, there was some form of purposeness, and they were playing to a certain kind of football. It's just that some of the people in the team do not seem to understand the kind
like
of...
who?
Nicolas Pepe is seriously wasting a lot of chances and needs to sit on.
But he was the one, he came off the bench, his industry got them a penalty.
His industriousness does not count in this case. He could have saved them a lot in that Equatorial Guinea game.
Okay.
He cost them a lot, and he has been given another chance. That's why he will now come off the bench. For me, this is one of the few games that they are going to have all their arsenals ready. And moving forward, they need to manage their talent and get the right people to play in the right positions. I want to say congrats to one of their best players of the tournament so far, Seko Fofana. He has transferred. How he did that during the tournament is unthinkable.
But you mentioned that Seko Fofana's story. You speak to people in Côte d'Ivoire. Before this competition, he was not really liked. He was not really, because a lot of people questioned his loyalty and his commitment. But it looks like he realized this was an opportunity to buy back some good faith, and he's done so. Kwame, your thoughts? You were in the country. You saw how people reacted to them. What do you think went wrong in the group stage? Of course, ultimately they made it, but how do you think they almost bundled, the fact that they were hosting, almost dropped the bag?
That's a good question. They won their first game. You would expect them to win. Now, then comes a test against Nigeria where they failed that test, and a more difficult test came in the game against Equatorial Guinea.
Okay.
And they failed that test again. Throughout these games, one of the key things you have to do when watching football games has to do with the body language, the chemistry between the players, how they react to adversity, or a setback, let me put it that way, in games and all of that. And it's one of the key things I observed. if you watch the game against Equatorial Guinea, you could notice the misunderstanding between some of the key players.
Okay.
Between Frank Kessié and Seko Fofana. Frank Kessié, and he was the captain of the team. What I felt they lacked was someone to remind them of the stage they were on, the competition they were playing, and where the competition was being played. And that is what MS5 tried to do. Someone to invoke the national pride in them.
Player, so
I mean, let them know. Because this MS5, he played in their first World Cup with them in Germany in 2006. So he understood what it means to represent the Ivory Coast. Now,
and just on the side, that team had to go through a lot
before they had to
make that World Cup.
Exactly.
They had to beat Cameroon. Is it in Cameroon? There's
Yes.
some crazy qualifier.
Exactly. You get the whole point. So they needed someone to just remind them of all of these circumstances or all of these things that they need to know that they are in their own country. Because when you speak to Ivorians, many times I spoke to Ivorians when I was there, and they are like, they believed in the Ghana team more than they believed in their own team. You can speak to our colleagues, and just speak to our colleagues randomly, and you get that vibe. Because perhaps Ghana has been to the World Cup, played in the last World Cup, they have failed to make the World Cup, the last 2 World Cups and all of that. So they seem not to believe. Because someone was telling me a story there that, see, he was the person, the host family that took me. Yeah. I was in the car and was driving. He started a random story. You know, there was some years back, there was this man who came, set up an academy, and then played these boys. These boys grew up, and I didn't know he was telling me about the team that went to the 2006 World Cup.
So the boys came from the
ASEC. So he told me Mimo.
That's their nickname, Mimo.
That's where so that was when my mind quickly went to the story he was talking about. So he was randomly telling me about the story of how these teams came together and how they've deviated. They are now no more relying on that youthful team or the academy, the system that helped them build that team, and now it's become a lot of collective stars, bringing in Sebastian Haller, bringing in Jeremy Boga, bringing in Wilfred Zaha, you know, more like Frefre Kobo, bring the top stars,
something
and
we
then come
can
in
all
there.
relate to.
Exactly. You get the whole point. So they needed someone to remind them that, hey, yes, it's Frefre Kobo, no problem. But know who you are representing. Know the country you are representing. And watch the game against Senegal. After the goal, they played them off the park. That's true. They brought in Jean-Michel Seri. In there, a senior player. Yeah. They brought in Max Allen Gradel, a senior player. No, that's all that MS5 did in that game. Remind them of what they are representing. Yeah. And you could see the commitment. Seri was just there dictating. Seko Fofana picks the ball, recycle, find a way. And they have this right, but the Akati, you know, work the wings with Max Gradel. Gradel worked the socks off. Okay, we finished working them. Let's bring in the guys now. Then they brought in Nicolas Pepe. They brought in Adingra, Simon Adingra. And Sebastian Haller. Let's just show something. They kept pushing. Then that was when Frank Kessié also threw in Frank Kessié. Let's keep pushing. We've now brought in the experienced guys to show you what it means to play for the country.
I see.
Then
so you make a very interesting point about commitment, the love for the country, and letting that love show.
Yes.
And really, that's what it drove them through that very difficult game against Senegal, and now they are here.
That's it.
Wow.
So you see, if you don't understand what it means, you see, playing for the national team,
it should mean something.
There's one thing I've always loved Kudus for, and until he changes, I'll keep loving him for. They asked him one time between the Champions League and the African Cup, which are you choosing? He didn't waste a second. He said the African Cup. And you know something? One day we'd have to do an analysis of this, the national team and what it means to play for, especially at the youth level going for. You look at all the boys that are playing for the current national team. If you want to see the players that are very committed, they are the ones that have gone through the mill at the youth level because they understand. Yeah. Because at that level, when you play for the Black Stars, or when you play for the Satellites or the Starlets, and you go to the World Cup and you represent, you are young. Yes, me in the national jersey. And especially when you advance to when you advance in the competition to the semi-final or something, the way we talk about you, it makes you feel that, oh, okay, so this is what it means when I play at the highest level for the national
And
team.
I'm happy you mentioned Kudus.
That's it.
Kudus came to prominence when he played in that
Under 17 in India. That's how we got to know him.
The game that Ghana got eliminated, Kudus was Ghana's best player against Mali. So you can understand where the love comes from.
So you build, that's how it's built. You build that commitment, that love for the country, and with quality coaching, you're able to assemble a very good team. Ghana has benefited from the 2001 team in Argentina. That went to the 2006 World Cup. The 2010 World Cup squad had some of the players. I mean, there is a formula for Ghana, and we keep deviating. And that's what the man in Ivory Coast was reminding me of, what led Ivory Coast to their 2 World Cups that they went after they had assembled a very good team, which had been carefully prepared at the academy level and had gone through a certain level. Look at the names in there.
The Toure brothers.
The Toure brothers. Aruna Dindani.
What's
his name? Gili Yapi Yapo.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of them. You can mention
many
them.
years later, Gervinho came
exactly.
from so
that's what the man said. He said that they had this team and they sprinkled it with the likes of Didier Drogba, who had the education up there.
In France.
That's what you do.
But
and that's so now you look at their current team, there's a lot of players coming from, so you don't see, exactly.
Look at their goalkeeper. You know their goalkeeper for Ghana? He was, was it under 20 keeper for France, under 17 keeper for
Then
France?
He came in. So what
he only switched very recently. So for a lot of them,
what does Conor Isdorfer know when how does he feel playing for Ghana? Jeffrey Schlupp hasn't blossomed for Ghana because he comes in and he doesn't fit. Look at Alexander Jiku. It has taken him time. Go and watch the Jama sessions from the time he joined and the Jama sessions now. It's different. Because when he came, now he leads Jama. It takes time. You know, you need people to understand the pride, what it means to play for the national team. And that is what the MS5 brought out of that team the other time.
So now the Ivorians are here. I guess a reminder of, like Kwame said, where they are, who they are, the occasion. I guess they'll need a lot more of that to guide them through, because at this point it's one shot, one kill. If you miss, you're going home.
That's it. Well, for me, I feel that they might have just rediscovered it. So it would definitely ride them through this part of the tournament, because, listen, they've got arguably at this current level of the tournament one of the most complete, quote and unquote, teams. Very balanced. We have taken out some of the balanced teams as well, but this is one of the very balanced teams. Absolutely. Really talented, really technical. So like Kwame said, if you've now found the pride, then you need to drive and take it on to the next level, because I feel they also rushed in sacking their coach.
I think it was the right thing to do.
Look at the circumstance.
It was the right thing to do. You needed that as a catalyst. Because no, you can't have Seko Fofana, Ibrahim Sangare, Frank Kessie
in one midfield.
Oh God, how do you feel?
He was playing to the gallery and adding up the names.
Sometimes you need it. I mean, sometimes you need someone to invoke. And I don't know what is going to stop them. If anything is going to stop them, I don't know. They need to rediscover.
Maybe a lack of quality. Maybe they don't play a performance.
Maybe.
No, but they've really got quality. They really got quality at this level.
You have Christian Kwame. You have Sebastian Halle. You have Jeremy Boga. No, these are players who are, show some level of quality. You just need to find a way to piece it together.
Jeremy Boga, I was delighted to see him in the opening game. He really disappointed. He's one player I really like watching, but he really disappointed me.
See, that's where the cultural fit thing comes in.
Yeah, it's true.
That's where the
if you don't quite understand
the cultural
there's no connection.
That's the whole point. The cultural fit thing.
All right.